the strongest economy in the nation. And for my part in my ministerial roles, I'm proud to have worked on policies like free TAFE, overhauling domestic and family violence laws here in Queensland, and ensuring a record health budget so that our amazing frontline health staff can do what they do best and care for Queenslanders. But clearly, we need to do more. Now is the time for renewal. And that means we may have to do some things differently. And I believe I am best placed to lead that change, and so will be nominating to be the next Premier of this great state. We need to do more now to really tackle the challenges that we are facing. We must make housing front and centre of our government's agenda to put roofs over Queenslanders' heads who are struggling in this housing crisis. We must have a far more inclusive and transparent approach to Olympic and Paralympic infrastructure, and that includes making sure that our regions get the infrastructure they need too. We have to do more to support Queenslanders who are struggling with the mounting pressures, cost of living pressures. We need to make sure we continue to build on our strong economy for secure, decent jobs now and into the renewable energies future. We have to listen, truly listen to victims of crime and work with the organisations that do the hard work day in, day out to break the cycle of youth crime. And we need to listen to our frontline workers in our hospitals and our schools to make sure they have the resources they need to keep doing their remarkable jobs and delivering stronger services for Queensland. Queenslanders face a really important choice at the next election. Who do they want to lead in Queensland? What kind of government do they want to see? And we must win the next election because the LNP will drag Queensland backwards. David Crisafulli and Jared Blay are paused to create the same havoc they did when they were Campbell-Newman ministers. Chaos and savage cuts. But in order to win the next election, we need a fresh approach. Labor MPs know me. They know my track record of bringing people together, of listening and delivering. You know, I have in every ministerial portfolio I have had fought to deliver change. I got into politics to make a difference, and that's what drives me each and every day. We need a refreshed approach, a government with fresh ideas and energy, one anchored in Labor values with robust cabinet processes. That's what the kind of government I want to show Queensland in the year ahead. I want a Queensland that promises a fairer and more optimistic future for the people of our state. Our government must also have the maturity to admit where we have fallen short. We have to listen to Queenslanders in our suburbs and our regional communities to make sure that no one falls behind. The next election is going to be tough, but I am the right person to lead us.
Obviously, speaking to your colleagues, what are fellow MPs telling you? Do you have the numbers?
I wouldn't be here, Tim, if I didn't have significant support within the party.
Do you have the numbers though? Are you confident you have
Well,
the numbers?
those conversations will continue over coming days, but I wouldn't be putting my hand up if I didn't believe I was the right person to take us to the election and I didn't have significant support within the party.
Why are you a better option than Stephen Miles?
Well, look, I have the utmost respect for Stephen Miles. We've been friends for a long time, and he and Annastacia, as leader and deputy leader, have delivered a lot for Queensland. We have very strong foundations on which to build upon. But as the Premier said yesterday, we do need renewal. Now is our time for renewal. And I believe I'm best placed to lead that renewal and change.
Should I putting your hand up, this could create a messy leadership stoush between you and Mr. Miles?
Oh, look, we respect each other, but of course we have different views on who is best placed to lead the party. And I think, MPs this week have a really tough decision about who is best placed to lead us to the next election and to win in the interests of Queenslanders.
Are you prepared to go the full ballot of unions, MPs and party members to see this all the way through?
Well, look, those conversations, as I said, will continue. I'll keep talking to my colleagues, but as I said, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have significant support. Again, all of those conversations will continue to happen, but I guess my message today is I believe I am the best person to lead the renewal and change that we need to see. we have really strong foundations to build upon. I've been having conversations with many members of the right.
But the right faction have said that they are set to meet separately with you and Mr. Miles, who will check out the
Yeah. So I haven't met them, but I've had many conversations, and I'll continue those conversations.
Are you trying to position yourself as a independent change?
Well, I mean, the Premier said herself, and, again, can I just pay tribute to the enormous task? As she said yesterday, it was a marathon, and we really do owe the Premier for all of those years of incredible work. But as the Premier said, we need renewal, and I believe I'm best placed to lead that renewal and change. Well, Lydia, I've had many portfolios, including small business training and skills and employment. I led our small businesses through the COVID-19 recovery. I was thrilled to be able to work on policies like free TAFE and training. I've had many portfolios, including Attorney General, work in the community sector. I believe I am best placed to take the party to the next election and articulate the choice that Queenslanders have at the next election. Queenslanders are struggling right now. Imagine how tough we would be doing it if we'd had an LNP government with the cuts and the chaos. That is their experience in government.
Did Stephen Miles' camp offer you the deputy leadership?
No.
The government private itself,
Well, thankfully having women leaders, because of women like Anastacia, is not a new thing anymore. And isn't that a wonderful thing for all the women and girls in Queensland? Look, I want to be really clear. We have very strong foundations to build upon, but clearly there are Queenslanders without a roof over their head, and that is of the utmost importance to me, and we need to be doing more.
Do you agree that a months-long leadership context would almost certainly end in defeat of the government?
Look, I think we are having conversations. We want to make sure, come Friday, we have a new leader that can take us forward to the next election. Of course, we'll respect whatever happens with the different views of MPs, but as I've said, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have significant support.
You and MPs go against Stephen Miles and probably
Oh, absolutely. Whoever becomes our next Premier, I will throw my support behind them, because this election is so important. And whoever wins, I will absolutely back them. Of course I will.
clarify that point though, if MPs vote for Stephen Miles on Friday, you would.
Look, again, those discussions are ongoing about the process. I do understand nominations will open later this week, and we'll have those discussions. But I think we're all keen to see a new leader who can take the fight up to the LNP and really listen to Queenslanders. As I said, listen to Queenslanders in our suburbs and our regional communities about what more we can be doing to support them.
So you're not ruling that dog all the way with the party membership ballot and the ballot of the union?
Look, I am here because I believe I am the best person to take us to the next election. I think we all want to see a new leader as quickly as possible. I think that's in the best interest of the party and the government going forward. I'm not going to go into who's told me what, where and when. My message is I believe I can deliver the change and renewal that we need, and that I can win the next election with a very dedicated, hard-working team with the amazing foundations that we have built over the last 8 years. Again, all of those discussions will continue. Again, Lydia, those are conversations. Hand up to be... Well, I'm putting my hand up to lead the change that we need to see by listening to Queenslanders. And Queenslanders are doing it tough right now. I think we all know that. I have seen that firsthand as the Health Minister. I see Queenslanders every day walking into our emergency departments because they cannot afford to see a GP. We can and we must do more to support them. I have the utmost respect for both Stephen Miles and Cameron Dick. And as I said, I think Stephen, as deputy with Anastacia, has a really strong legacy. But I believe we need renewal and we need to change the way we do some things, and I believe I'm best placed to do that. Well, I've talked about my priorities. I think we need to make housing front and centre, of course, cost of living, far more transparency and inclusion around Paralympic and Olympic Games, including delivering for regional Queensland. So there's some of the things that I want to talk to my colleagues about.
You mentioned transparency. Would you release the Super Bowl to Jack?
Again, I'm not going to go into any policy specifics today. I don't think you expect me to, but I'm here today to say I believe I'm the best person to take us forward.
We've seen Nancy's, background against news and also that there's an inclination towards hypocrisy. Do you think that how can you be leader if those already happening?
Look, I, again, am not interested in what people are saying to each other. I'm having conversations with my colleagues and I have significant support within the party. And MPs know me and you all know my track record. I listen to Queenslanders, I go and meet them, I bring people together to work on solutions and I deliver.
The Premier endorsed Stephen, I suppose, why he disagreed with this.
Oh, look, it's not a surprise that the Premier would nominate her Deputy Premier. They've worked closely together. Of course she would. But the real issue now, the question for MPs this week is who can take us forward and who can win the next election. So obviously over the course of, just over 24 hours having conversations with people.
Even Miles is a very close relationship with Barry Buller. If you're the leader, how do you manage relationships with the unions? Will you be standing up to them? Will you be...
Lydia, I will continue to manage my relationships with trade unions and other stakeholders and Queenslanders like I always have. I always say my door is open. I'm happy to meet with people. We can't strengthen our services and our economy if we're not listening to Queenslanders.
Stephen Miles can be very confident they have the numbers. They've said that repeatedly over the past few days. Do you think you actually have the numbers now?
I have said I have significant support within the party and I'm putting my hand up because I believe I'm the best person to take us forward.
Has the right given you any assurance at all?
Look, we've been having conversations and those conversations will continue.
What conversations have you had with Stephen Miles today?
I haven't spoken with Stephen Miles today other than, of course, he chaired the Queensland Disaster Management Committee meeting and we were all there to make sure that Queenslanders up north are as ready as they can be. I haven't spoken to Stephen Miles today.
Have you spoken to Cameron Dick today?
Yes.
Have you spoken to Cameron Dick yesterday?
Yes.
Or the nature of the conversation?
It's the same conversations that I've had with multiple people and colleagues in the party. I think I've spoken to almost all my colleagues now.
So you see Cameron Dick as your only option to become leader and you're not talking
No,
to
again, as I said, those conversations will continue, but I am here today putting my hand up because I believe I am the best person to lead the party through this process of renewal and change.
Have you spoken to any other male members of the right faction today?
I think so, Tim.
What about Grace? Has she
Yes.
said that she's supporting?
Look, again, I'm not going to say or outline to all of you the nature of my conversations, and I don't think you would expect me to.
Have you spoken to the Premier?
I have texted the Premier to say thank you and the things that I have just outlined to you, of course. Look, the at some stage. Sorry. Listen, the Premier has just been given the most significant press conference of her career. I think she's a little busy, and as she said yesterday, she's entitled, I think, to have that break. She has, in her words, run a marathon.
If you wanted to be elected
Last
leader, how
question.
would you manage the quality of leadership given the outcry and backlash that's controversy that's been going on?
Well, I think, as I've said, I've been really clear. I believe we need a far more inclusive approach and a far more transparent approach. And we need to be also considering the important infrastructure for regional Queensland. Those are conversations that I will have if I am lucky enough to be elected leader and lead the state. Thank you all so much. All of these other decisions are made.
9 years as Premier, she
okay.
will retire
When there's
from politics. Annastacia, the second last of the COVID-era premiers, will be no longer in charge of the state from next week, with a successor to be chosen on Friday. Palaszczuk, who has usually kept composed at press conferences, was physically emotional as she announced her departure earlier on today, Sunday, making the sudden but not unforeseen announcement. Take a look.
When I led this party from an opposition of just 7 members, I said that the first election would be like climbing Mount Everest. I went on to climb that mountain twice more. I don't need to do it again. I have given it my all, and I've run a marathon. Standing here today with these flags alongside and standing up for the people of Queensland has been an honour of my life. I will finish this week, at the end of this week, as Premier, and the next Premier of Queensland is for caucus to decide on Friday, giving MPs time to come back. And soon the people of Queensland will have their say. I have fought the good fight, I have given everything. But now is the time for me to find out what else life has to offer. Oh, look, I've been thinking about it for a while. Sorry, I wasn't going to get upset today. I've been thinking about it for a while, and it's the right time. And it's time for renewal. It's, I have a great deputy in Stephen Miles, and I believe he'll make an excellent Premier. We have a great treasurer in Cameron Dick, and he is one of the best treasurers I've ever seen in this state.
Now, after joining Parliament in 2006, Palaszczuk quickly rose amongst Labor Party ranks, becoming a minister, first for Disability Services in 2009. After Anna Blight's 2012 election landslide loss against the LNP, Palaszczuk became leader of the opposition. Queenslanders quickly warmed to her before just managing to win the election in 2015. Since then, she was re-elected in 2017 and in 2020. Throughout her time as Premier, she saw many a challenge and also many achievements which she will leave behind in her legacy as 39th Premier of Queensland. She won from opposition against Newman in 2015, was the first female Premier in Australia to win from opposition. Now, she also led the state through COVID-19, as we know. However, the most controversial part of the pandemic restrictions were the state border closures to much of the country for long periods of time. And she also oversaw and is considered to have led the way for the 2032 Brisbane Olympics bid. Now, as of late, youth crime and ambulance ramping have put some controversy on her legacy, with these issues highlighted as reasons for slipping support for her government. The latest polling done for 9 newspapers shows opposition leader David Crisafulli increasing the preferred Premier margin over Annastacia Palaszczuk 39 to 34%, with 28% undecided, while the LNP primary vote is at 37%, while Labor at 33. The state election will be held in October. Attention now turns though to who will replace the Premier. It's believed to be a 3-way contest between Health Minister Shannon Fentiman, Deputy Premier Stephen Miles and Treasurer Cameron Dick, all highly praised by the Premier today, although she specifically endorsed Miles, which is pointing towards him being the 40th Premier.
Stephen has been a fantastic, steadfast deputy. He is strong. What you see is what you get from Stephen, and he is compassionate as well. And I've worked very closely with him, especially during COVID, and that's for the caucus to decide, but I will be giving my strong endorsement to Stephen Miles to be the new Premier of Queensland.
Messages from leaders across the country have been flowing in since the Premier made her announcement, both at the federal and state level. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese saying she retires as a Labor hero, a 3-time election winner, Australia's longest-serving female Premier, and above all else a champion for Queenslanders. Albanese adding Annastacia's leadership brought Queensland Labor back from the political brink, and on so many occasions since then her government has put Queensland in the position of national leadership. Now, the state opposition leader has also weighed in on X, saying regardless of politics, 9 years as Premier deserves acknowledgement and respect. I want to thank her for her service and wish her well in her retirement. Now, rumours and leaks from sources had been circulating for some time now that the Premier would be replaced. However, those rumours were quickly dismissed by the Premier herself and other members of the government. Now, last week, 6 News exclusively broke that there were talks underway to replace Palaszczuk before the end of the year, with Labor sources telling us the party was either way at the next election. When 6 News contacted the Premier's office about these claims, we were told to reveal the source for a response from the Premier. We did not do that. Some doubted that the rumours would be true, but we now know they are. The Premier will depart politics, which will also be triggering a by-election in her seat of Inala. That seat is located southwest of Brisbane and has been a very safe Labor seat, only challenged once, but always retained by Labor and always retained by a Palaszczuk. Annastacia's father, Henry, was the previous member to hold the seat. The seat at the 2020 election was very safe, with a 78% to 21% in the 2-party preferred. So a major day for all of Queensland, the Premier making the sudden announcement to quit politics just 10 months out from the state election. But after 17 years as a member and 9 years as Premier, Annastacia Palaszczuk will no doubt leave a long-lasting legacy behind.
There are close to 300,000 more jobs in Queensland after the pandemic than there were before it. Thousands of Australians are moving here for more opportunities and a better life, and you can't blame them. That economic strength means we can help people with money off their electricity and things like free kindy that's going to start next year and free TAFE. Plus, we've started the biggest infrastructure building investment our state's ever seen, including 3 new hospitals and 3,000 new hospital beds. Queensland is in good shape, which is why now is time for me to leave. I was raised believing in the dignity of work. When I took on this job, unemployment in parts of regional Queensland was 11%. Now it's under 3%. Our future is brighter than it has ever been. Our jobs and energy plan will see us transition from coal to renewables, mining all the new energy minerals the world so desperately needs. We've started making things in Queensland again, like trains in Maryborough, giving the future of regional cities. So much for the future. I'm also proud to have led a government of women that values women, that gave women the right to choose. During the pandemic, I had press conferences nearly every day, alongside the Police Commissioner and the Chief Health Officer, all women. And I think during those COVID times about all the people's lives that were saved. So, if you were wondering, I turned my mind to this when I was trying to have a holiday with my partner, and everyone deserves a break. Finally, last week, my mind was made up at National Cabinet. I was sitting there thinking this is the 4th Prime Minister. There are all these new faces around the Cabinet table. We got a great deal for Queensland, $4 billion, and I thought to myself, renewal is a good thing. When I led this party from an opposition of just 7 members, I said that the first election would be like climbing Mount Everest. I went on to climb that mountain twice more. I don't need to do it again. I have given it my all, and I've run a marathon. Standing here today with these flags alongside and standing up for the people of Queensland has been an honour of my life. I don't believe anyone who comes after me will know how humbling it is. To travel this state and meet so many amazing people. I will finish this week, at the end of this week, as Premier, and the next Premier of Queensland is for caucus to decide on Friday, giving MPs time to come back. And soon the people of Queensland will have their say. I have fought the good fight, I have given everything. But now is the time for me to find out what else life has to offer. I'd like to thank my mum, my dad, my sisters, my nieces and nephew, most of all Reza and his family, for all their love and support. They're looking forward to having me home. Thank you to my Cabinet and my staff. Thank you to the Labor Party, to all of our frontline workers, but most of all, thank you to every single Queensland. Sorry. It's been the greatest on my life, and our best days are well and truly ahead of us. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Oh, look, I've been thinking about it for a while. Sorry, I wasn't going to get upset today. I've been thinking about it for a while, and it's the right time. And it's time for renewal. It's, I have a great deputy in Stephen Miles, and I believe he'll make an excellent Premier. We have a great treasurer in Cameron Dick, and he is one of the best treasurers I've ever seen in this state.
Did you think about it when you were in Italy on that trip? Because you came back from that trip and
I had a break and I felt refreshed and renewed, and I honestly thought that I had renewed energy and I gave it everything. But I've got to the end of the year, I've been to National Cabinet, that was the turning point. And I just feel now is the right time. I just absolutely feel it's the right time. I've run this marathon. I've had discussions with Mark McGowan as well. And to be down there at National Cabinet and not have all those friendly faces around as well, it's time for me to go and do something else.
Was it the internal pressure that was getting you to go from?
No, not at all. Look, I'm pretty tough. I used to have 7 LNP ministers yelling at me on a daily basis at press conferences during COVID. No, next year would have been 9 years. And look, a week in politics is a long time, but can I tell you, 9 years feels like an eternity.
Do you still have the support of Gary Bullock, though?
I still have the support of the entire party and the Labor movement, and I just want to thank them. It's been a great honour to be the leader of this party, but I've done nearly 9 years as Premier, 3 years before that as Leader of the Opposition. Before that I was Transport Minister. I've dedicated my whole life has been to community service. There's no greater honour.
Do you have any idea on what you're looking to do now over the next decade?
I have no job. So come January, I'll be also finishing up as the member for Inala at the end of this month as well. But look, I think I will be out there promoting Queensland in some form of capacity. Look around you. This state has so much to offer. There's buildings everywhere, the transport systems, we're making things in Queensland. Like, honestly, our best days are ahead of us. And what has inspired me most is the people that I've met out and about, whether it's in Western Queensland with the wild dog fencing, in Maryborough where we're making trains, whether it's the free TAFE up in Cairns where I met, in Townsville where I met the nurses, the copper string line we're building, underneath the Brisbane here, Cross River Rail, and of course the Olympics. The Olympics and Paralympics sets this state up for decades to come.
What's, sort of touched on it before, looking at the legacy you'll leave behind,
Yeah.
what do you think it'll be and what you'll...
That's for others to decide, but we've had a very strong record of economic growth. Like I said, the economy is the best in the nation. All these jobs, coming into office when unemployment was, so high and now it's so low. The investment in our schools, the free TAFE, skilling Queenslanders for work. We stopped sand mining on Stradbroke Island. There has been so much that has happened, but for me, meeting the people of this state, and can I say to everyone, if you see me out and about, please come and say hello. Don't be a stranger.
Premier, you mentioned Stephen Miles.
Yes. Stephen has been a fantastic, steadfast deputy. He is strong, what you see is what you get from Stephen, and he is compassionate as well. And I've worked very closely with him, especially during COVID, and that's for the caucus to decide. But I will be giving my strong endorsement to Stephen Miles to be the new Premier of Queensland. Look, we've got everything set up. Everything in this state is set up for such a bright future. I'm absolutely committed to ensuring a smooth transition, and the building blocks are all there. It's up to the next person to make sure that that building continues. Okay? This is my final press conference, so thank you very much for coming. It's been a great honour. Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a safe and happy time, and God bless. Thank you.
After 9 years as Premier, she will retire from politics. Annastacia, the second last of the COVID-era premiers, will be no longer in charge of the state from next week, with a successor to be chosen on Friday. Palaszczuk, who is usually kept composed at press conferences, was physically emotional as she announced her departure earlier on today, Sunday, making the sudden but not unforeseen announcement. Take a look.
When I led this party from an opposition of just 7 members, I said that the first election would be like climbing Mount Everest. I went on to climb that mountain twice more. I don't need to do it again. I have given it my all, and I've run a marathon. Standing here today with these flags alongside and standing up for the people of Queensland has been an honour of my life. I will finish this week, at the end of this week as Premier, And the next Premier of Queensland is for caucus to decide on Friday, giving MPs time to come back. And soon the people of Queensland will have their say. I have fought the good fight, I have given everything. But now is the time for me to find out what else life has to offer. Oh, look, I've been thinking about it for a while. Sorry, I wasn't going to get upset today. I've been thinking about it for a while, and it's the right time. And it's time for renewal. It's, I have a great deputy in Stephen Miles, and I believe he'll make an excellent Premier. We have a great treasurer in Cameron Dick, and he is one of the best treasurers I've ever seen in this state.
Now, after joining Parliament in 2006, Palaszczuk quickly rose amongst Labor Party ranks, becoming a minister, first for Disability Services in 2009. After Anna Blight's 2012 election landslide loss against the LNP, Palaszczuk became leader of the opposition. Queenslanders quickly warmed to her before just managing to win the election in 2015. Since then, she was re-elected in